Thank you for listening to the Golden Hour Drip podcast with me, Logan Lee Miller. Enjoy the show. You know what I find absolutely atrocious and completely disgusting? It's when people don't wear socks in the airport. I swear I am always, actually, you know what? Let me rephrase that. I hate it when people have like bare toes in public settings. Like, I can appreciate if you're at the beach, right? Like if you are at the beach and your feet is in the sand. Other than that, I do not want to see your bare toes out in public places. I don't know. Maybe if you have like some sort of platform that is pulling your toes off of the ground, sure, maybe. And there are like maybe exceptions to the rule, but ultimately I don't want to see your toes out, okay? And when people have bare feet at an airport, I'm literally so disgusted. You will not catch me having bare feet in the airport. I will always wear socks, okay? Socks and tennis shoes. Because when you get up to the little scanner machine, right? And you're having to take off your shoes, take off your belt, take off all your heavy layers, put them in the scanner. You take off your shoes and you put them in the bucket. Okay, now a million bajillion people have been walking on this linoleum and your toes and your feet are now just like walking where they walked. That is disgusting to me. I don't know, like this past week I flew to Florida. I'm currently still in Florida, and it can be out. I don't think that I could actually live in Florida ever, because I keep seeing people in sandals. Understandable, but it's like, ooh, like when you're in public setting, like what if you step in a puddle? What if there is like, oh, it just seems kind of gross to me. I don't want to continue talking about feet first thing into this podcast. Good morning, hello. But honestly, like I just keep thinking about it and I'm disgusted, okay? I went to fly, right? Like I had to go to the airport to fly to Florida. There's no way that I would be driving. Spring break of my sophomore year in college, we drove to Florida. We went to Destin, and that was like the most crazy drive. We took my HHR, which RIP girl. She had a fiery exit. Not on this trip, but so we took my HHR, and by the time we came back, because like getting into Destin, we had like stop and go traffic, and it was raining and there was an accident. It was like all these things stacked on top of each other, and there was 4 or 5 of us. I think there was just 4. I think we sat 4 in my car. Paige Pearson, one of my good friends from college, had her vehicle. We were split. I took the first 2 hours, and then, you know, we split it up. But it was literally like a 20-hour drive. So we left in the evening and got to Florida in the morning. And I just remember being sweaty, right? Like staying in a car, being cooped up, my legs tired. At least I had gotten to sleep some of it. But if you took a later shift in the driving, you then, you know, didn't get to sleep as much. So when we finally got to the beach, everyone was so tired, everyone was so cranky, and ultimately like we lost part of a day because everyone went to sleep, everyone just wanted to hang out, nobody wanted to like actually do anything. I think that day we went to the beach, we laid on the sand, and we took naps, and Jamie Jackson got a very, very nice sunburn, and honestly a lot of us got a little peak. Then we came home, slept in beds, went out for, you know, a supper, and came back home. So it was like or went back to the hotel. So I felt like I had wasted my first day of spring break by driving down there, and we were all exhausted and we were all tired. And while I do feel like some sort of tiredness from when I get on a plane to when I get off the plane, it's like I'm not really having to pay attention. Like I can have my iPad, I can be watching a show, I can be watching a movie. And on the way up, I watched the Sisters of the Traveling Pants. Oh my gosh. I have not watched that movie in so long. I actually like do not have any recollection of that movie really. I know that I've watched it and I knew that I read the books, but I pulled it up. It was on Southwest free movies. I thought I had downloaded movies, which I did, but we'll get back into that. And I was like, dang it, like my movies aren't downloading. I'm just gonna watch like what Southwest has for free. So I pulled it up and it was Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. I said, perfect. Tell me why I did not realize that it was Blake Lively, okay, America Ferrera. Okay, I honestly, like, I just thought this actress came out of nowhere, okay? I cannot remember any movies with America Ferrera in it. So it's like, oh my gosh, Barbie. And then when I, also, on top of that, Gilmore Girls, okay, Lorelai, I forget the actress's actual name, because I just recently, this past fall, watched Gilmore Girls for the first time. Like I actually got into it. I was actually watching episode by episode. So now I feel like, or I'm sorry, Rory, that the actress in the movie, the character went by Rory. But I was like, oh my gosh, like what a combination of individuals. Okay, literally and truly. And then there's another girl, but I don't know what else she's been in. That wasn't like a memorable character because there is 4 girls. And I was like, oh my gosh, Blake Lively, how insane. And just seeing them in their younger form, and then it was like the weirdest crossover I've ever watched, honestly. I know it's not a crossover. I know these are like the parts that they got in the very beginning, but I was like, you're kidding. Like, oh my gosh, it blew my mind. But I was happy to watch Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. And then I figured out, because I had a layover in Austin, I like touched the ground, right? I was able to get on my phone and on my hotspot for my iPad. I was like, why did the shows not download? And I had a heck of a time trying to like get something to download. I thought that I had downloaded, oh, what's it called? Baywatch, and then there's another one. But ultimately I was trying to download the movie, the book club, and I could not figure out how to get it downloaded. I even like subscribed to Paramount, but on Amazon I couldn't like download it. It was all these things. Ultimately, I had to get a subscription to Paramount for 7 days, you know, free trial, which I do need to cancel that. I probably need to set that on my little reminder. But I couldn't figure out why they hadn't downloaded. Ultimately, I was trying to like pull up the movie and not just press play. It thought that I was trying to like see the actors in it or see what else it had going on. And I did finally get it figured out where I was able to actually watch the movies, which was amazing and great. So I also watched Baywatch, but I'm not having to pay attention. I am just sitting in the airport or on the airplane, right? Like when you're waiting, because, you know, is the airport actually shorter sometimes? Because it can be like a 5-hour situation. And you could feel like you wasted your day doing that, but you don't feel as tired. You don't feel as jet lag. You don't feel, well, jet lag is a whole other thing, but I'm saying I can nap on the plane. I can pretty much sleep anywhere. So I don't have any problem putting in my earplugs, putting on my eye mask and snuggling with my neck pillow. Okay, like I can make this work. This is no big deal. So I am grateful for airplanes and airports and, you know, not having to drive here. But I just can't get over the feet, it's so gross. Oh, something really, really cute. While we were boarding the plane the second time, because we touched down in Austin, we were going to Disney. Okay, ultimately, like Tampa, there were so many children on the plane. And I get it, like Florida is somewhere that people retire as well. So you could be visiting your grandparents, you can be going to Disney like I did. Like that's why I came to visit Andrew and Rachel, and then also like we went to Disney. And I saw so many kids who, not so many, okay, a lot of them had Disney on. A lot of them had like little backpacks, they're so cute, right? And there were two children who had sunglasses on. Mind you, it is 7:45, okay? It is nighttime, okay? And we're picking up in Austin. And there's these kids with their sunglasses on, and the flight attendants, they're having their moment right now, okay? Every single like plane ride you get on, they are saying one thing or another about, oh, you know, if you enjoyed this ride, great. If you didn't, that's not our problem. Or if the masks fall down from the, you know, airplane, if we happen to need oxygen, first put it on a child and then put it on yourself. And then they're like, oh, and if you have two children and you're trying to figure out which one to put the mask on first, put it on your favorite, right? Like they're having their moment. They are saying all these like funny little quips, all these funny little jokes. And this flight attendant was like super, super sweet. She was definitely playing the part. It almost feels like a character. Like it almost feels like they are like at Disney, right? I just went to Disney and everyone had like their own little trope. And if you've never been to Disney, I'm sure you've seen on social media, they're not supposed to like break character. So if you are Snow White, you should say Snow White answers. Or say you're doing a Disney party for a kid's birthday party. Like you're not supposed to break character, you're supposed to be who you are. And it kind of is giving that vibes of they're on a show, they're performing. But this flight attendant said, you know, oh, we got a superstar, a movie star on the plane. Because literally, and the first kid I saw, he had like longish hair, it was kind of swooped, and then he had his sunglasses on. He definitely, and he's probably like 7 or 8. He has an older brother, he has a younger sister, and he's just like walking in, middle kid, right? And he has his sunglasses on, and she's like, oh, we have a movie star on the plane. And boy, this kid preened up, and it was so funny. It's 7:45 at night, right? And he's wearing sunglasses on a plane. I would too. If my parents took me to Disney as a child, I would absolutely also be wearing sunglasses. Like how amazing. Yes, please. Then like a couple more people come by, we're trying to board, everyone's trying to find a seat. I was already at my seat, and another girl comes on, but her glasses are heart-shaped glasses. They're not associated with each other, right? Like this is 2 different families. And she comes on and she's like, oh, we have another movie star on the plane. And she was so excited. She was like, ah. And I was like, these kids are wearing sunglasses on a plane at night. I also have done that as a child. Like it just brought me back to like memory lane of being cool, wearing sunnies. It's giving very much movie star, and I appreciated her commentary because I also noticed it and I was like, oh, that boy is wearing glasses on the plane. And then she made it like something fun and amazing. But I truly, like, if my parents had taken me to Disney as a child, I think I also would have been in that energy of I am a movie star, like I am so cool. So I really did love that. Something I don't love on planes. Okay, so you're sitting there, and usually they do it about halfway through, and you know what I'm talking about. It is taking your drink and snack order, or giving you a snack and taking your drink order. This stresses me out. Okay, it truly really stresses me out. So when you're sitting there, I like a window seat. Okay, in Southwest, you can pick your own seat. I always try to get a window seat. Very rarely do I not get the window seat I want. Sometimes I'm on the edge, and I think one time for a flight, I was in the middle. Hey, I didn't check in on time. I think it was like 12 hours after I was supposed to check in, I checked in. I was essentially the last person on the plane. But really, I get the outside, or the window. I'm not on the outside. I'm not close to the flight attendant. And I will be sitting there, you know, watching my movie or on my phone. And you can see the flight attendant starting to walk towards you, right? Starting to walk towards your row. And they're taking orders, or they have the cart, right? They have the little trolley, and they are pulling things out of the cooler, right, to give you. Okay, I know what I want usually every single time. I want apple juice, okay? I want apple juice with ice, and I love apple juice in the top of the plate, right? So I see them come up. When do you actually look at them? When do you make eye contact? When do you turn your head and be like, hi? You know, do you just sit there and stare at them like, like really creepy? Or like if they are, you never know if they're gonna ask you first or the person like closest to them first. They all have their different styles and techniques, and personally, like, I am petrified. Okay, do you look at them early? Do you, like, I don't want to look at them too late. I don't want them to be like, ma'am, you know. And the best course of action is to fall asleep on the plane. Like, whenever I'm feeling a little nervy in general, or I am tired maybe, or I'm gonna have like a late night, I know this, I will be like snoozing, right? And that's I think the only fair game I feel good about myself when the flight attendant comes with the snacks, because I'm like, I'm sleeping, you obviously know I don't want a snack. And then I'm avoiding the nervousness of, do I order too quickly? Do I order late? Like, oh, like, when do I look at them? I don't want to be like one of those Karens who are like, take my order. I don't want them to expectedly like feel uncomfortable just waiting for my order. So I'm wondering the etiquette, okay? Like, I try every time. Mostly I don't embarrass myself, but sometimes I'm like, I don't know what to do, because then you're acting nonchalant. You're like, oh, I'm scrolling on my phone, but actually in the corner of my eye, I am looking at the flight attendant, because when she comes to take my order, I do want my apple juice, right? Like, I would like my apple juice. So I'm always like, awkward. It's like, show them that you want them, but you don't want them. Playing coy, dating. Same thing with the flight attendant and snacks. Like, they're on the same grind. They are the same thing. And that is on that. Now, I flew out on Valentine's Day. So exciting. Love Valentine's Day. Garrett was, you know, alone on Valentine's Day, but that's fine. We celebrated Valentine's Day like the Friday before. And as we get on Southwest, right, I'm sitting there, I'm chilling, I'm having a great time. The attendant had said something like, because they're on one, because they are saying, oh, you know, this is our time to shine. Like, we have our little jokes and things. And they're like, okay, people, you're moving slow. You know, people to pick a seat in the back. First drinks on me, right? Like, they were saying these jokes about like basically hustle, find your seat, it's taking too long. If you pick a seat in the back quickly, I will buy you your first drink, right? And then it comes, and I find out that on Valentine's Day, there is a free beverage, as in a free alcoholic drink. So they let all the singles know. Honestly, it's anyone. So I was looking on the menu, and it said there was only a couple days that they served free drinks on Southwest, and I didn't know this. Like, this is not why I picked Valentine's Day. Personally, when I was booking this flight, it was because it was the cheapest flight, and I was on a budget. I booked this like back in October, and I think it was like 150 round trip. So it was super, super affordable. And on the free drink days, so Valentine's Day, St. Patrick's Day, Southwest birthday, which is June 18th, and Halloween. On those days, you can get a free beverage. Now, beverages on planes. We've all seen the TikTok, I'm sure you have, where it's two women, they're going on a bachelorette trip or, you know, a girls trip, and they have like two shooters, and someone is videoing them, and they're about to take the shooters, and they're like, cheers, and they go to take them, and the flight attendant comes up behind them, and they're like, ladies, wait, you know, and she's trying to stop it. And the two women are like, oh, do you want one, right? Like, they're gonna give her a shot. And she's like, actually, like, it's against plane policy to, you know, bring your own alcohol and drink your own alcohol on the planes, and there's actually a fine associated with it. So she was like trying to save them from the fine. But to pay $9 for a shooter, okay, these are like the little shooters you find at the gas station, you find at the grocery store. They're selling them for $1. They're literally so affordable, so cheap, all the things. $9 for a shooter. I barely want to buy like 2 for 1, right? Like that is absolutely crazy. Wine for a little cup was $8. Beer and beyond is $7. Which, is it the whole beer or is it half a can, right? Like if it's a whole beer, that's maybe affordable, but if it's half a beer, like that's unfortunate. So, but yeah, I did not know that they served free drinks on Valentine's Day, and I was very happy about that. And essentially because I had a layover and we were able to move seats, so because it's first come first serve, essentially we are first come, we are first served. We've been on the plane already for 2 hours at this point. So I was somewhere in the middle. I was actually right on the plane wing, which I do like the wing, okay? I like to be slightly behind it actually, so I can get like the best photo. But this time I was on the wing directly. So when we started to transition over, I moved ahead. We all moved up. I personally like to be on the left side. I find like I can position my body better. I don't really like to be on the right side. I feel like this left eye can't see as much. I don't know, honestly. I like to be on the left. So I moved up several rows, right? Like essentially now I'm 3 rows from the front and I'm in a new section. And guess what? I'm also a passenger on the plane. They're not gonna skip over me, right? Like they're not gonna be like, oh, you already got a drink on the other flight. No, it's per flight. So because I'm still on the plane, I could have another free drink. And I was also in a new section, right? A new flight attendant. So even if they did think, oh, like you've already gotten your free drink, I'm in a new section, okay? I'm in the new area, and it's like I still didn't know because it's still the etiquette. Like, should I have gone farther up? Like, should I have not? All the things. Should I look at them? Should I not look at them? So it's very, very, dicey territory. But I just thought that was so cool. Now, when we picked up the second plane full of people, I noticed this girl had like this beautiful big bouquet, and she's carrying it, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's Valentine's Day. I'm not sure like who she's going to see. Maybe it's a girlfriend, maybe it's a parent, maybe it's anything, right? And she's holding this bouquet of flowers. Or maybe, honestly, I didn't even think about this, like if her loved one gave her flowers before she got on the plane and she's like going back home. But she had this beautiful bouquet, and I was like, oh, that is so sweet, like that she has this bouquet of flowers. And then I thought, how did she get this through the scanner? Not saying that like it has anything in it, but to lay your flowers, I don't even like laying down my flowers in my grocery cart. Like I don't like to crumple my flowers or any way, or I don't know, like it's just, honestly, it's a serious matter. You're paying $10 to $20 for these flowers. I don't want to wreck them, right? So how is she carrying a bouquet of fresh cut flowers through an airport, which is dirty in the air? I swear, like it makes me break out, honestly. Like I got several pimples on my face, and it's from the airplane air. I'm so glad I'm getting a hydrofacial as soon as I get back into Missouri. Literally, like I land and then the next day I'm getting a hydrofacial because it is disgusting. It is atrocious. But to carry flowers from one state to another state, because essentially she's going the same place I am. She's going from Austin, Texas to Florida. She is on a plane, right? Hey, I hope that you're enjoying today's podcast episode. Just a quick interruption to let you know that Golden Hour Drip has a weekly newsletter that comes out. This has bonus content, weekly updates, and future event information. If you haven't already, go down to the show notes, click the link and join today. Now, back to the show. And to travel on a plane with those flowers is one, dedicated, right? She is dedicated. She is bringing flowers across the state. And again, like, I don't know, like, was she meeting someone at the terminal? Maybe. Did she get these as a gift? Maybe. I don't know. And the only time that I've ever carried flowers in a not normal situation was when Lily was interviewing or competing for the Iowa State Fair. And I did bring her flowers, and it was like in this little glass jar. And that, like, I was just walking from my vehicle across the fair to where she was at. But to go on the plane with, there's so many things that could go wrong. I hope her Valentine's Day went great. I hope whoever she was saving those flowers for, was worth it, because it'd be another thing if you traveled all this way with some amazing flowers and then, like, your Valentine's Day didn't even turn out good, right? Like, I don't know. But the thought of her putting them in a little box and putting them through the security screening device, it's screaming dedication. It's screaming, I absolutely am loved, or love someone so, so much. So let's get into my peak and my pit of the week. Now, peak. Let's talk about my peak. I do like doing a peak and a pit, but it was hard to narrow down my peak of the week because so many, like, happy, good things happened. I got to spend an amazing, like, day with I don't know, like, I'm thinking back and I'm recapping my week. Like, Monday I got to go and hang out with my girls for The Bachelor. I have been loving our little watch parties. Tuesday I went and supported my friend Hannah and her boutique, The Trove, and then afterwards I got to have supper with Kennedy, and then we met up for drinks after supper. Like, that was definitely a highlight, just to hang out with my friends, hang out with my girls, and that like, I place that so high, right? Like, I place that so high on the list of amazing things that happened this week. And then Wednesday I flew out and I got to, hang out with Andrew and Rachel for the past couple days. And I love to visit, right? Like, I love to visit my friends. I love to see them. Andrew and I have always, like, lived out of state from each other, so it's like no stranger to the travel, right? But to be able to see them is so fun. And then we went to Disney together, and we went to Epcot, and we drank around the world and spent literally from 7:30 we packed up, or 7:45 we left the house. We get there, park's open at 9, and we don't leave until 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night, right? And the next day we had gone to Magic Kingdom. And so that's also fun in itself, right? Like, one, visiting Andrew and Rachel, but then second, to go to Disney, something that I've never done before. And even sitting here, like, recording my podcast, I've been thinking about, where I'm at right now in my life, and being in a place where there are so many children around, and then parents, and I'm thinking about me, and I'm thinking that I don't have children, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I could possibly have children. Like, if I had a baby when Garrett and I first got married, like, this could have been me. And it kind of finally hit me that I am an adult. Like, I'm officially official. I'm 25. I know this sounds like dumb, but it was just kind of like this epiphany of, I no longer am in my adolescence. I'm no longer in my youth. And instead of making me, like, feel sad, it made me feel really, really happy and good, because essentially I've survived that part of my life, and I'm in this new chapter, right? And I feel like this chapter, I've been in it for like a year or two now, just like trying to figure things out. And sometimes I definitely like take myself too seriously. I'm too regimented. I'm too like, I have to do everything. It has to be this plan. It has to be this trajectory. And I'm like, okay, like, how is this going to fit in my plan? How's this going to benefit me? Like, what can I do to make this better? And I just like pile it on. And I've been working really, really hard to find the joy in the little things, or to just allow myself to have joy in general and not be so caught up in myself, because essentially like this is my life. Like, we are in the thick of it. And when I was a child, because I saw a lot of like teenage girls too, on their phones with their parents, like moody teenagers, right? We all go through that stage. And as I was like looking at them, I was like, man, like I don't wish to be back in that stage, right? Like, I don't wish to be back as a preteen or even as a teenager. I've found so much confidence within myself, but I also like thought back to when I was that age and how, you know, mean I was in general, or how I didn't truly appreciate things, or even appreciate my parents, as in like they're experiencing life for the first time themselves as well. Like, we are all on our own path and our own journey. And I just, as we were standing in all of these lines, right, I just kind of had this release of expectation and a release of having to have everything so perfect. And I think I really have a problem with like perception sometimes on how people are perceiving me, and that, you know, the perception issue, like me, oh my gosh, like how are they gonna see me? Like, what are they gonna think of me? I think it's definitely rooted in a lack of confidence when you are so worried about what everybody else thinks of you, and you can't ask yourself like what you think of yourself, or is this making me happy? Am I happy when I do this? Or, you know, am I just copying this because that's what everybody else is doing? And it was seriously, it was epiphanal how I was just like able to kind of breathe it out. It was so surreal. And as I'm like standing here thinking, you know, I'm thinking about my mom who went to Disney when she was, you know, around my age for the first time, and how it can be like similar lives, right? Like, I did this when I was this age, and she also did that when she was my age. And then I think about like Lily and just like generations of like amazingly strong women that I've had, and how I'm, you know, boy or girl, whatever child I have in the future, if I do have children, and thinking about like paving the way for them as well, as in, oh, like what kind of mother would I be, or what kind of, you know, legacy am I gonna leave? And then even if I don't have children, like I have nieces and nephews, right? I have brothers and sisters, and I have all of the, like, your life is just so special is what I'm trying to say. And so I had so much fun this past week, and there were a couple things that needed to be done work-wise, right? Like, I worked from my computer, I worked from my phone, I did all those things, and I was just thinking, I can either beat myself up, and I do this on Sunday, and if you're in our Golden Gal broadcast channel on Instagram, it's on my personal page, it's not on the podcast Instagram, but I was thinking about Sunday, and I was thinking about all the things that I was going to need to do this upcoming week, all the things that have been on my calendar, and I was like, oh, like kind of stressing out, because I love to have a weekend. I love to have a weekend to be able to prep, to plan, and to make sure I am prepared. I like to be prepared. I like to have all my ducks in a row. And I was just thinking, oh my gosh, like as soon as I get home, because my flight, I'm gonna arrive on Tuesday, and I was just like thinking about, oh my gosh, like I'm gonna be back, and I essentially didn't have a weekend to prep. I didn't have any time to prepare before heading into the next crazy time of my life. I'll talk about it in the next week's episode, but there are things that I'm going to start doing that I haven't done before. And it's essentially like I really am on the next part, the next chapter. I can feel the transition. I can feel things like shifting from what and how I was. And maybe it's with spring, right? Like spring is just around the corner. March is closer than we think. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like I feel this transition. I feel this period of this. I'm taking like the next steps. And I was just thinking of all the things I need to do. I was like, oh gosh, like I was checking my calendar, and every single day this upcoming week, I have something to do. I have another thing. And it was like taking a breath, right? I'm on the happiest place in earth, right? I'm at the happiest place on earth. Sorry. Anyways, I'm here in the world of joy, right? I'm here at Disney World, and I was like, okay, you can either get all stressed out about the things that you have to do, or you can just be where your feet are and you can enjoy it in the moment. And maybe it's because there's so many things to do, but I didn't hardly pull out my phone. I was documenting on my camera, vlog coming soon. I love vlogging in the aspect, like I get to be in the moment. I'm not editing, I'm literally capturing. It's not attached to my phone because I feel like sometimes I black out, and I've been scrolling on my phone for 2 hours. I'm like, how did this happen, right? And so to be able to do it on my camera, totally separate, not connected to the internet, I feel like I'm so much more in the moment, and I just felt complete joy. I felt so much joy walking around, taking it in, screaming, just running around. I did feel childlike, right? Like I felt like I was 16 or 17, like running around at the county fair, because that's the only thing I can really compare it to, like the county fair. Even though it's such like a vast difference, it's on a different level, but it was the feeling of just running around with no parents. But I truly, it was just like being in the moment and capturing the joy. And even like sometimes hanging out with my friends during the week. A weekday hangout takes preparation, of course. And I know it's going to be a late night, and sometimes it will impact my morning where I'm waking up later, or I didn't finish what I was working on that night because, you know, after my day job, after I'm like working, I'll like get on my computer at 5:30 and start on, you know, the podcast, or start on the Golden Gown Network, or start on any of the things that I've been working on in my goals. And sometimes when I like get to hang out with my friends, I don't get to do that, like because I'm hanging out with them and I can't necessarily take my computer. So it's been a lot of time management, but also like compartmentalizing. Oh my gosh, compartmentalizing, I don't know, sorry, putting it in a box, shoving it under the bed and forgetting about it, essentially, right? Like to take anything that is going to take you out of the moment, if you're thinking about the past, if you're thinking about the future, and literally box it up, conceal, don't feel, thank you Frozen, and put it under the bed and come back to it. So my peak of the week, we're wrapping this up in a little bow. My peak of the week was to be where my feet are, to be like in the moment. And this has taken me so long to completely embody. A couple years ago, I definitely had some stress and anxiety. I was having panic attacks, and to just like think where I'm at and shut off my mind and just be so present. In the past, I wasn't able to do that. I was thinking about the future. I was thinking about, you know, things that had happened to me that I hadn't worked through, and I was just like trying to get through it. So I am so grateful that I'm able to put it in a box and put it under the bed and come back to it at another time and just be where my feet are. Like I truly, like, it is not to be glazed over. It's not to be taken advantage of. Like, it's not like to just actually think about it and appreciate it. Just appreciate it, acknowledge it. I think when we acknowledge things, we bring awareness to it and we can build upon it. So I love doing that. And my peak of the week, I am so happy. Like, I'm feeling so happy, and I am glad that I made those really hard decisions in the past, and we're coming up on almost a year. That's insane. Almost a year of, you know, leaving a job that it had a future, it had potential, but felt dead end to me, because it wasn't my passion. It wasn't the things that made me happy, and to like leave it, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm just proud of myself. Okay, I'm really proud of myself. That is my peak. And I've just been reflecting, reflecting a bit on the things that I'm doing, the things that I've done, and planning ahead, but not getting too caught up in the planning period, and just, you know, being where I'm at. So my pit of the week, we walked Disney. Okay, and today I woke up and my entire body is on fire. Okay, not on fire, it's achy. I feel like it's slow burn. Every single move I make is just difficult. No, I'm fairly in shape, right? Like, I think that I'm in shape. I mean, I can always improve, I can always do better, but my entire body is quaking right now, and that's my pit. Okay, because really and truly, like, this week has been so amazing. There's been so many highs, not really any like lows. Like, there's no lows. Okay, and even now, like, I'm just reminded of the fun I had, like, being sore. My feet, you know, I will say those New Balances I purchased definitely came in handy. I cannot stand cold feet at all. I literally get so angry and so cranky. So to have warm feet the entire time, it rained on us, by the way. And that's not even a pit, okay? It's not even a pit that it rained on us both days that we were here nonstop. Like, we wore rain jackets and ponchos. Like, that's not even a pit. Like, I still enjoyed that part. Like, it was fun. It was great. It was amazing. 12 out of 12. Like, I like the rain. But for my body to be like a little sore today, like I feel stiff. Okay, I feel stiff. My knees are, I feel like there's some fluid flowing around these bad boys. The heels of my feet, the balls of my toes, like, I don't know, I'm feeling sore. And that's my pit. And if that is my pit of the week, right, like my body feeling a little sore, because we racked up 20,000 steps, over 20,000 steps both days. So that's 40,000 steps in 2 days, and my body feels a little sore. Listen, that is fine. We are doing fine, and that can be my pit. So that's what I'm saying. But I really and truly think that going on little excursions, going on little trips, and just exposing yourself to what's out there is so powerful and amazing. And I truly believe that proximity is everything. And if that's one thing that I learned the past year, is proximity is everything. And when you immerse yourself in situations or experiences that inspire you to be better, or inspire you to like want more, right? I think sometimes when we do our day-to-day life, we forget about what's out there, and we don't allow ourselves to be inspired. We don't allow ourselves to be inspired and to get new experiences. I definitely have been like pushing the solo traveling, pushing like going out, experiencing new things, experiencing new shows, new, like, just, I don't know, like traveling. And I feel like it's done me good. Okay, it's done my confidence good, it's done my memories good, my being in the moment, detaching from my cell phone. Oh my gosh, that's like the biggest thing. Detaching from my cell phone and just being in the moment has been so good for me. I've been loving that. And I just think that I have the opportunity to go out. I don't have children, right? I mentioned that. I don't have children. I don't have any like big obligations to me at this time. So I want to push myself. I want to go out. I want to do things I've never done before. And I think when you are planning or imagining your life and you have this dream and you have these things that you want to do, to continue to immerse yourself in something that's close to it or something that is similar, like mimicking it. There's a book that I read where the girl, she imagined herself living or having a hotel, maybe is what, like, I don't know the exact story, so I'm just gonna go on the concept because I was reminded of it this past Friday. This past Friday, when I was working from Andrew and Rachel's home, I went out to the pool and it was a beautiful day. I'm getting out of the house, out of their apartment. I keep like saying like my home or the house or back home, whatever. I mean their home. Okay, I'm in Florida. But get out of their apartment and I'm sitting there. I have the umbrella over me. I'm typing away on the computer, and I've experienced this before, right? Like last 4th of July, we were in Chicago and I worked poolside as well. And I was thinking back to the story that I heard of this girl. She wanted to be able to live in one of the nice apartments, and the apartment she had, it wasn't amazing, it wasn't great, it wasn't good. And she would either sneak into hotel lobbies or sneak into an apartment's private pool, and she would sit there and she would read her book and she would imagine herself like there. She would imagine herself living there, and she would imagine herself that this was her life and that she had these experiences. She would bring her pool bag and she would put on a nice swimsuit and she would drink her water or just be there. Like sometimes she journaled, sometimes she read, but other times she just sat there and closed her eyes and envisioned that this was her house, that this was her place, and that she had finally made it. I can't remember what book this was from. I can't remember who said it, who wrote it. But essentially she would just envision herself becoming successful and being able to like afford it, like being able to afford it herself. And then one day she did, and she was sitting there and she was like, oh my gosh, like I have dreamed of this moment and it feels exactly how I envisioned it and, meditated on it. Christine Quinn has a book called How to Be a Boss, I think. Oh my gosh, I forgot the actual title. But Christine Quinn wrote a book, and in the book she talked about how she's a real estate agent, and she would sit in it was a specific house. It was a specific house that she sat on. She was trying to sell, and as she was like sitting in that house, she was thinking to herself, oh my gosh, like this is the perfect house. And she would put her mail, this is actually crazy, she would take her mail and she would send it to the house or put it in the mailbox. Or I think she asked a friend, hey, will you put my mail in the mailbox? Nobody lives here, okay? It's an open house, like she's trying to sell this house. And she had someone put the mail in the mailbox so that when she got there to do the open house or check over or do a showing, she would check the mail and pull out her own mail that was addressed Christine Quinn. And she was like, it's my house. Like one day this will be my house. I think it was like over millions of dollars. And she was essentially brainwashing herself. Not only would she put mail in the mailbox, she would also, like on her days off, like maybe she didn't have an active showing, but she would go in there and she would work. She would bring her computer and she would type at the counter, or she would go outside, and she was just completely envisioning herself living there, envisioning herself being an owner. And at the time she couldn't afford it. She loved the house. And then in her book, she talks about how she forgot about it. She, filed that memory away. She had other dreams, other aspirations, and life works like this sometimes, where we forget when it comes back around. We forget when, like, oh, like I actually have prepared for this moment entirely, and this is like a dream that I had. So not millions, oh my gosh, years go by, right? And she meets her husband, and her husband is I think a billionaire, I don't know. And she gets married, and they're looking for a house to live in, and she thinks, oh my gosh, like let's look for houses. And she remembers the house, like they either go to a showing, or her future husband, fiance, says, let's look at this house, I really like it, I think you're gonna like it, I think we should buy this one. And she goes in and she's like, oh my gosh, like this is the house that I wanted to buy when I was first starting out in real estate. Like this was the house where I dreamed of, or I sat at, where I, you know, had someone bring my mail to, because she did successfully sell it at, like it was sold. And so she probably thought, oh, there's like, it might be a house like this, where it's this big expensive house in Hollywood. And she's like, this is my house. And she describes in the book where she went to her mailbox and pulled out her mail, and she was like, this feels exactly how it was, because I've imagined this so many times, because I've gotten my mail from this house before. And it's making sure, because our minds don't know any different, right? We can tell ourselves something so many times, and then we start to believe it. This can be positive, this can be negative. We can say, oh my gosh, you're so amazing, you're an amazing talker, you have so much confidence, and we start to believe it. Vice versa, right? Like we can think, oh my gosh, like I don't even want to say it, right? Like I don't even want to say it out loud right now, because I don't want my own brain to pick it up. But like, you're dumb, you don't have any aspirations, like you are a failure, right? Like we start to believe the things that we tell ourselves. And the same goes for like our dreams and the things that we want. You can forget the passion, and you can also forget the inspiration. So that's why I think it's important to do it like every day. And I thought back to last year and some of my goals and some of the things that I wanted. If you remember, I tried to plant like a bunch of hydrangeas. They all died. Okay, I spent tons of money, $400, over 400 to be exact, for a bunch of hydrangeas, and they died. Thank you, Garrett, for killing them, because I have this vision of like walking out in my garden, walking out around my house, and be surrounded by beautiful flowers and beautiful landscape, and being able to lounge in the yard and be able to, you know, lay out in the sun, or be on my hammock, or reading a book, doing yoga in the yard, like any of these things. And I'm like slowly building upon them, but being in a space where there is beautiful Florida culture, right? Like to have the trees and the bushes that are just like so perfectly cut, and it just beautiful settings. If you take like Disney, like they have a beautiful landscape. So immersing yourself in things, even if it's not yours, like, right? Like some things aren't ours, like we won't be able to take them home, but to be able to just like see it, to remind yourself, hey, like this is an option, this is something that is achievable. Whether you feel like it's achievable or not right now in the moment, you can work towards it. And I really think that proximity is everything. And two years ago, I went to a concert with one of my friends. We went and saw Carrie Underwood. It was the first time I ever saw Carrie Underwood in concert, and her energy and her show was a performance for sure. She was swinging from the ceiling. She was in these amazing outfits, just beautiful and stunning. I cannot sing at all. I cannot sing. That's not my forte. Okay, but I can yap. Okay, I can talk. I can chat all I want. And so I was thinking, oh my gosh, like to have her passion, to have her energy, like I want that. And that's been planted in my brain. And it was planted in my brain before that, right? Like that's something that I aspired to do. Perform, always have been a performer ever since I was a young girl. But proximity is everything. To see her on stage, to be reminded, to be inspired. Going to a book show. I went and saw Eli Rallo's book show or book tour last, I don't know, a couple weeks ago. Lily and I went, and it was good and it was amazing. And being reminded of a performance, being surrounded by the things that you want. And then oh my gosh, I watched Serving Hamptons. Have you ever seen this? Oh my gosh. I think there's only 2 seasons because they do it every summer, and it's not like an amazing show, right? Like it's not lower your expectations if you watch it. But the owner, he had said something like, if you want to be rich, hang out with the rich, right? Like if you want to have something that you don't have, start surrounding yourself with people that inspire you, or that can introduce you to new opportunities, that can essentially, like, you start to pick up on their energy, you start to pick on up on their vibe, and even like their mindset is everything for them to push you and inspire you and think, oh my gosh, like you can do this too. Numbers are really powerful for me, and hearing someone say like a specific number and it be truthful, right? Like don't just lie to me about your numbers, but to actually like say XYZ, this is what I did, and like the proof is in the pudding. That opens my mind up to so many opportunities. And just thinking, and I think back to when I was like in high school, I didn't know that you could do some of these things. I didn't know that you could start your own business. I didn't know that you the world is ever changing. There's opportunities every single day. And I just think, oh my gosh, like someone can achieve that. And of course, like seeing versions or people like you doing things that you want to do is really aspirational. And I think proximity and surrounding yourself with people who are higher than you, right? Like people who are along in their journey already, or have accomplished or conquered or achieved something that you wish to do, it helps your mind formulate like, hey, this can happen for you. You are able to do it, to achieve it. And I think there was a show at Disney. It was like the Mickey Mouse like orchestra or something like that. I can't remember the name. But in the beginning, it talks about like being a dreamer, or maybe this was the fireworks. Honestly, the past couple days have been a blur, and when I go back and like edit the vlog, I'll be like, oh yeah, like I'll have more concrete ideas of everything. But whatever was mentioned, it was like, so go off and dream, go off and, you know, and find what you've been looking for essentially, but don't forget to dream. And I know like DreamWorks, it's all about dreaming. It's all about, you know, reaching for the stars, which I love and appreciate. Okay, like I'm trying to reach for the stars, but to continuously surround yourself and your brain with that is so good. There are definitely things that I've cut out in the past like couple years that don't serve my brain well and stress me out or make me sad, and I've started to eliminate those things from my life and from my daily routine, so that I can focus on the happiness, so that I can focus on the things that inspire me and uplift me and bring me to where I want to go. So proximity is everything. This week, find something that you can do that encourages your like highest self, that encourages the life you want to live. And honestly, like it's a really, really powerful exercise to do, whether that's laying outside or going to a neighborhood that you wish to live in, just surrounding yourself with beautiful things or inspiring things will definitely help you along in your life journey. So thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it. If you've enjoyed, please rate, review, and send to a friend, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.